from PRX.
Friends beyond the binary, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, so thankful to be able to bring you this dreamy episode of Dreaming in Newhart and Sleep With Me. And to take your mind off stuff. Welcome to Sleep With Me, by the way. It's a podcast that's here to keep you company and take your mind off of stuff. If you're new, to be your friend in the deep, dark night. And just see how it goes. If you're new, this podcast's a bit different because I'm just like your bore bud. Like you call me up and you say, tell me about that TV show Newhart, but do it in a way where I'll barely pay attention, in a way that's kind of silly and fun and dreamy at the same time. I say, no problem. I could do that for you twice a week if you need me to. What about 600 episodes, more than that, ready to go? Okay, we'll check it out, see how it goes. I'm really glad you're here. What we got coming up is support, so paying for the show is optional. Then a long meandering intro separate from the sport that eases you into bedtime. And then it'll be our Dreaming of Newhart. If you're just looking for bedtime stories only, check out Bedtime Stories from Sleep With Me. But for most people, this version that eases you into bedtime and then has a bedtime story seems to be what a lot of people enjoy. But you could also try both. But I'm really glad you're here if you're new, and regular listeners, so good to see all of you. And, yeah, what do you say? These are like, thanks to everybody that gives me feedback, everybody supports the show directly, supports the sponsors, spreads the word about the show. Thank you so much. You are the ways we're able to do this for you, and everybody else that benefits from this show twice a week. So thank you so much. Hey, everybody, Scoots here, and I'm here to talk about Sleep With Me Plus, our membership program. That's all about supporting the podcast you count on to sleep, to put you at ease, to keep you company in the deep, dark night. And as a member, you get ad-free episodes, story-only episodes, bonus episodes, so much more cool stuff. And if you're one of those people where Sleep With Me helps you fall asleep, it puts a smile on your face, makes you feel less alone in the deep, dark night. If you do feel like you're a part of something when you're listening, if the show is important to you, you're exactly who I'm talking to right now, because you're the listener we count on to keep the show going. And you could try a free trial and even test it out, but you're the ones we count on. And not just right now. We'll be counting on you next year. And we'll be counting on you as long as we're doing the podcast. But don't wait to take action. If it's a yes, you say, Scoots, I heard you. I listen. You do all that for me. That is important to me. I do value it. Take that action right now. I've just heard from people that signed up last month, and they said that's kind of the key. Sign up right now on your phone. You could set up the bonus content tomorrow. Just go to sleepwithmepodcast.com/plus, sign up, and you'll know you're doing your part now and long into the future, because we couldn't do it without you, and I really appreciate it. Thanks so much. Oh, Mystery Bard, a lot of people help out on the show. Who are they?
Chris Posty Poster Son sounds like an earful. Wrote the theme song. Edits episodes too. Carl W. the Legend. Also edits episodes. Ashley, Kenny, Scotty, Jennifer. Runner. Eric and the team at Astound are on the website. I am the Mystery Bard. I do the lullabies, yeah. I do commissions at JonathanMann.net. I'll write a song for you. Any reason at all. You can tell me the story and I'll make it personal. You see the kindness shine straight on through when the listeners form their own Facebook group. Keith, Stacy, Sarah, Julie, and Jennifer. These are your moderators. Get support dear Scooter on Patreon. Buy the merch and support the sponsors. You can find anything you want at sleepwithmepodcast.com. And we're so proud that we could dance. Rusty Biscuit, Lois, Hannah like banana. Leah does the transcripts.
Thanks, Mystery Bard. Don't forget, if you're not in a position to support the show directly financially, but you want that access to Sleep With Me Plus, you could get it for free just by referring people with our referral program. And you can sign up at sleepwithmepodcast.com/refer. And you just refer people a free podcast and you get rewarded with Sleep With Me Plus. And if you've tried the referral program or you're unable to do the referral program for some reason, Let me know through the contact form on our website, because we do have a scholarship program set up too. We just ask you try out the referral program first. So, yeah, that's an option because, yeah, if you're looking for access to that sweet, sweet stuff, we're here for you. What do you say we slow it down and get on with the show? Hey, are you up all night tossing, turning, mind racing, trouble getting to sleep, trouble staying asleep? Well, welcome. This is Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. We do it a bedtime story. All you need to do is get in bed, turn out the lights, and press play. I'm going to do the rest. What I'm going to attempt to do is create a safe place where you could set aside whatever's keeping you awake, whether that's thoughts on your mind, thoughts about the past, the present, the future, stuff you're thinking about, thinking thoughts. It could be feelings, anything coming up for you emotionally related to those thoughts or feelings that are just there. It could be physical sensations, changes in time, temperature, routine. Maybe you're getting over something or going through something. Maybe you have travel or you have guests. Maybe you work a different work schedule. Maybe you just, dealing with something. And maybe you just can't sleep at all. Whatever it is, I'm here to keep you company and take your mind off of stuff so you can fall asleep. But I'm also here to remind you you're welcome here. And I'm not the only one kind of making you feel welcome or trying to create a welcoming environment. You don't have to feel welcome here, by the way. Boy, there's nothing I work makes me on more heightened alert than when someone says welcome. You walk in somewhere, or hey, you're welcome here. I say, oh boy, am I? I don't know if you're welcoming me. I'm not so sure about that anymore. But that's just the kind of reality for me and a lot of other people. If I'm supposed to feel welcome, I'm going to have a tough time. I'm going to have a tough time with it. So you don't need to feel welcome here, but we are welcoming and trying to create a welcome environment, send out a welcoming vibe. So at some point in the future, if you say, I'm now prepared, I think for me, it'd probably be like 2086 or something. I'm prepared to feel welcome now. And they'd say, well, we sent out a welcoming committee for the last 86 years. And we also, and every time you went in a store, sometimes people said Dobry Den, which means the same. And they said it in a multitude of languages, as well as body language, eye contact. And see, I'm working on getting it down, progress. I'm like incrementally feeling, by just barely detectable increments. Well, also with I know that was a barely detectable increment forward. I'd prefer, can we dial it down? So take some time. If you take some time feeling welcome or getting, whatever it is. See, why do I gotta feel so, why I gotta be so welcoming? I don't know. It's just in my nature. You say, oh man, I just want you to feel comfortable. Well, yeah, please don't point out me being comfortable. That's even more difficult than making me feel welcome. So on this show, I guess what we would do is just nod and not say anything and give you all the space you need. But I do I've kind of contradicted myself, but the reality is this show is about being relatable and understanding and validating and you kind of being seen, even if it's at a distance, even if you don't feel welcome, that you feel seen because, I don't know, we share something. That's what I mean by trying to craft and that I'm not alone. There's a lot of other listeners sending out some welcoming vibes because, I don't know, a lot of people don't get what it's like in the deep dark night, how it feels around bedtime, how it feels around sleep. And the people that listen to the show, they do get it. And that's around the world and people dealing with different things. Probably someone who can really relate to how you feel and really see where you're at right now. And you say, well, how does that work? I don't know. It definitely works. So it's definitely true because I've been doing the show a long time. And I know those people are out there caring for you and trying to create a welcome and create a welcome space for me, even though I make the show, I said, well, I'm not sure I'm welcome there, though. But you make the show, and it's a welcoming show. No, I realize that, but doesn't mean I can, I just being myself. Like, I realize I'm welcome, I'm welcoming, and I'm like, we're easy on the welcomes. So, yeah, I mean, that's just reality. Like, so I hope, I don't know. That's one of the reasons I make the show, because it feels lonely. That's one way to describe it in the deep, dark night, or around being the one sleepless person. And the other thing is, you deserve a bedtime where you could get some rest, a bedtime you don't have to dread, a bedtime without any rigmarole, a bedtime you can feel neutral about or even look forward to. Say, well, I got that dude that's trying to make me feel welcome. He just rambles on and on and on in a welcoming way. And the fact that he's a little bit uncomfortable makes me comfortable. And I never knew that was possible. But there's something about his discomfort that puts me at ease, because I know he's comfortable in his discomfort. That's the truth. I mean, when I learned to welcome my unwelcomeness, that's what I was able to do this, you know. And I guess that's one of those things where it's like, a disadvantage turned into a relatable thing that we can all take advantage of, in a sense, and share. And the fact is, you deserve enough sleep where your life is more manageable, and ideally you could be out there flourishing. And even if your life's just a little bit better tomorrow or down the road, and you're a little bit rested, that means our world is a little bit better place. So that's what I'm here to do, or to try to do. And the way I do it is I send my voice across the deep, dark night. I use lulling, soothing, creaky, dulcet tones, pointless meanders, and superfluous tangents, which means I go off topic, I get mixed up, then I like circle back around. Then I'm like, wait, what was I talking about? And then I go on a tangent, and then I use a word like 87, 89 times. I have a conversation with a part of myself. And that takes some getting used to, because if you got here through a search or somebody recommended the show, or you're like, man, I need to find something to put me to sleep, and now I'm tuning into this, I thought it was like bedtime stories, and I expected something a little bit more, I don't know, like, but I don't know. I just expected something different. I said, well, I get it, and I get that you're skeptical or doubtful. I would be too. All I can say is give the show a few tries, see how it goes. That's what most regular listeners, people have been listening to shows. Some people have been listening to the show for like 11 years. And they say, like, yeah, at first I didn't get it, or I didn't like it, or I strongly disliked it. And then on the third try, I said, oh, I didn't know I was looking for something like this. I didn't know I was looking for like a welcome that's comfortable with not feeling welcome, you know? That's, this comfort and discomfort together, finally. And I barely even remember that part of it. Most of the time, I'm just barely listening to this podcast, like an out-of-focus picture, or radio on in the other room, or something I can just barely hear. Or like a friend who's just calling to talk to me, but I don't have to listen. They're there to kind of soothe me and take my mind off of stuff with some friendly banter. So, yeah, it took a while for me to get used to that. Also, this is a podcast that doesn't put you to sleep. I'm here to keep you company while you fall asleep. There's no pressure to fall asleep at all with this show. That's why the episodes are over an hour. That's why there's over 600 episodes in the ad-supported feed. That's why the show comes out twice a week. That's why we work so hard to have a variety of styles of episodes. So there's no pressure to fall asleep. You say, well, Scoot's going to be here to keep me company whether I'm awake or asleep. He makes the show for everybody. But for me specifically too. But however I decide to use it that night, right? Maybe I need a break during the day. Maybe I can't sleep at all. Maybe I fall asleep and I wake back up. He's here to be my boar bae, my boar sib, my boar bud, my neighbor, my boar bestie, your boar burr, your boars, your, boar on demand, Boorman in chief. I don't know. Was there somebody say that one recently? the bore of the boardroom. If I was in a boardroom, I'd be the bore of the boardroom for sure. Your best boyfriend forever. I'm here to keep you company and take your mind off stuff so you can fall asleep. And you say, I don't even know what he was talking about. But at some point I stopped listening, but I was kind of barely listening too. So I'm here to the very end, whether you're awake or asleep, just in case you need me. So that's a couple things. The other thing, let's see. The other thing that throws people off is the structure of the show. So let me run through that real quick. The show's structured in a specific way, and this is a way that seems to, like, over the years we made the show, work for the most amount of people, this linear ad-supported version of the podcast. So there's a reason we do it in this way, but you can adjust as you become a regular listener. Show starts off with a greeting. We found that makes people kind of feel welcome. You say, well, I might check that show out. Then there's support, so that paying for the show is optional. But we do get to make the show because the people say, well, I prefer to support the podcast directly, or I prefer ad-supported version. You do that at Sleep With Me Plus, and that keeps the show going. Then there's a long meandering intro separate from the support. Has nothing to do with supporting the podcast. It's different every time. It's a show within a show, where all of a sudden one word or one thought, just like I try to explain what the podcast is, then I get distracted like it did tonight. And then we like wander down that road and say, okay, let's look out the window here. What was I talking about? Being welcome, all that kind of stuff. We take our time getting there, explaining what the podcast is, but it is a similar structure every time. So it's reassuring if you're a regular listener, but it has variety, which I've just found is important if you have trouble sleeping, to have something different, at least for me and the people that listen. And to not know whatever's keeping us awake, say, okay, well, I don't know what he's going to talk about next, so I might as well pay attention and be barely distracted. The intro also serves as a buffer or a way to wind down and be eased into bedtime instead of putting you to sleep. It does put a small percentage of people to sleep, but for most people, the intro is part of their wind down, getting ready for bed, in bed, getting comfortable, or doing something to chill out and relax. If you just want the stories, there's a podcast, Bedtime Stories from Sleep With Me, that just has the friends beyond the binary part and a story. But, try them both. But most people like this intro because it eases you into bedtime. And that's what most of the time works for me, is having a bedtime routine. Then after that, let's have some support. And then we'll have our Dreaming in Newhart, where we look at an episode of Newhart as a Dream with Robert Hartley and trying to check in and how Robert's week went. And it's a little bit different. It's a little bit full of meanders. So I'm really glad you're here. I really appreciate you checking the show out. I work really hard. I earn a nice drive. I'm so thankful I get to make this podcast and I get to impact people who I can relate to, right? Who are HURTING in a sense, the same way I have, or something similar, so that all those sleepless nights I've had in my life, or even the times currently when I have trouble, serve some purpose to help you out, or to help somebody else out, or for you to help somebody else out down the road, or make them feel welcome, so that it does have a purpose, and it can result in some good, and you getting the rest you need, and then your life being better tomorrow or down the road as you develop a better sleep routine. So I'm really glad you're here. I work really hard. So do a team of people to make this show sound free and easy. So thanks again for coming by. And here's a couple of ways we're able to do this for you on a regular basis. Sleep With Me podcast is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are the things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states or situations. Everybody, welcome to Dreaming of Newhart. This is a TV recap series, very many layers of sleepy fictional enjoyment where an episode of the TV show sitcom Newhart, which in the U.S. is available on Amazon Prime, and I'm sure you could rent it in other places. And that series was a dream, and the dreams of the sitcom Newhart were being had by the character Robert Hartley, played by Bob Newhart, in the TV show sitcom The Bob Newhart Show. And by way of fiction, we've been able to gather. So what we're going to do is we have Robert sits down with someone else, goes through one of his dreams. Then there's also AI assistant working behind the scenes with the host to take a look at some pieces of Bob's dreams and analyze them from different perspectives. And then Robert Hartley will also go through his journal of like his week before he had the dream. And this one is themed around like a seasonal dream about Thanksgiving, which is just so convenient for us to be able to do it seasonally. So I'm going to turn things over to the host and the characters. Take it away, everybody. All right, Bob. You know, I don't know if I have talked to you about this, but I was wondering. I call you Robert, I call you Bob, and I'm just wanted to check in on that because I know I've been shifting between the two, and recently been using the more formal Robert. But I've been listening to our sessions. Wait a second, you're recording our sessions? Those sessions are being recorded. Yes. I thought you knew that. I don't know. But you could call me. It doesn't matter. All right. So do you want to run through your dream? Sure. So yeah, this dream started out kind of with a winter feel. Like I was dreaming of the inn. It was winter. Now it's coming to the inn. My dream wife was there, and George, and I had the new cutlery for the Thanksgiving season, and I was very, very excited about it, and really, really so excited. And my dream wife saying, "Oh, I'm so excited. I know you love it. Isn't it strange you're such a fan of Thanksgiving?" I'm like, "It's the best holiday. I like the parade. I like there's football." And then I get to, host and do hosting and preparing duties. And then George says, "Hey, are you in a good mood?" I say, "Sure." And he says, "Okay, well, hold on to your good feelings because I got other feelings. We got to replace the wiring in the inn, like soon." And I say, "Well, yeah, how soon?" He says, "Right away, basically." And George says he can't do it. I need a professional, and I'm not an electrician, obviously. And so, no, I can't do it. And they say, "We got to find somebody." Then Larry, Daryl, and Daryl come into the inn, and they seem very formal. Larry always introduces, "I'm Larry. This is my brother Daryl, my other brother Daryl." They comment on my new stuff, and they say, "Why don't you juggle those, the cutlery?" And I say, no, this is my stuff, man. No, thank you. So I'm very protective. And they say, "Well, we've gotten close. We've gotten to know one another. So we want to know if you want to partake in a holiday meal with us." First, I was confused because they said intimate ritual. So I thought they were proposing something else. But they said, "Why don't you come over for Thanksgiving? We have, we're so thankful. We have everything we could need." And I tell untruth. I say, "Well, we already have plans. Sorry. And you're not invited." And they say, "What about next year?" And then I say, "Darn it. We already have plans for next year as well. Just got off the phone." and they're disappointed. And they say, well, we can't predict 2 years from now, so we'll go look at our decade at a glance calendar. And my wife gives me a bit of a look for not telling the truth. Then the electricians are working on our estimate, and George is telling me the first estimates are usually high, so don't worry, I'll help you negotiate to get the price down. And then the electrician gives the estimate, and it's much. George is like, I never thought it would be that. That's a great price. Take it. And I try to negotiate, and George is negotiating for them, not for me. So that didn't work. And they say that we can start work right away, but no heat and no light because we can turn the power off, obviously. And that I'm not happy about because I said, wait a second, Thanksgiving, though. I need the power on. I didn't even think about the guests or anything at the inn. Then Stephanie comes down. She says, my parents have invited us all to Thanksgiving. And I'm like, well, that's great, but we're going to be here. And my wife says, honey, can't we change things up this year? I said, no, we can't. I love having Thanksgiving here, doing it my way. And she goes, yeah, but I'm the one who does all the cooking and cleaning. You don't do, all you do is and he says, I help. And she says, no, you don't help. You just lie around, and then you go to bed early. And I say, well, I take some plates in the kitchen. She says, why don't we just go to their house while they're working on the house? And the electrician is still there. He says, yeah, we could get work done over the holidays. George is like, what a great situation. And I say, well, what about George? He wants to do Thanksgiving here, doesn't he? I could try to get George to go along with my scheme. And he goes, well, Stephanie lives in a mansion, so I'd rather go to her parents' mansion. And I said, well, can I at least use my cutlery? Then the door opens again, and Michael comes, and he's like, are you coming to Casa Vanderkellen? Because I have a special gift for, it's a plush turkey, but he says stuffed turkey, hearty har har. And Stephanie names him Terry Turkey instead of Tom. And she goes, I can't wait to get home and introduce Terry Turkey to Petey Rabbit. And Michael doesn't even know about Petey Rabbit. And she says, oh, that's my plush bunny from home. I still am at my parents' house because I don't want him to see me working here. And Michael says, well, couldn't you just cuddle with the turkey? And she goes, no, Petey the Rabbit's very special. And so they go 12 days. Then Mike, he talks about the 12 days of Thanksgiving. I go, I thought it was the 12 days of Christmas. And they go, no, 25 days of Christmas. They didn't understand any of that. That was a math. Then we're at Stephanie's mansion. And my wife, my dream wife, Stephanie and Michael come in from playing tennis. Michael has on very, very, very short shorts. So short, but they had played tennis, and my wife's like, are you pouting? Because I'm reading a book, but I'm only like one page into it. Or are you moping? Moping in a mansion? And I said, well, yeah, I wanted Thanksgiving at my house with I wanted it. And everybody starts giving me a hard time. Stephanie says I'm being a baby. And then they have a movie theater. Stephanie and George are going to watch a movie. And then my wife says, you know what? I'm not comfortable with your behavior. It's not very nice. You're not being a good guest. Then Mr. Vanderkellen comes in and says I'm pouting. And George says I'm pouting. Everybody's pointing out I'm pouting, which I was doing in the dream. And Mr. Vanderkellen says, I spent millions on this mansion. It's full of fun. And I say, I'm having a great time. Then Mrs. Vanderkellen comes in and points out I'm pouting. And they say, okay, there's so much this house has to offer. Heated pools. You want salt water, fresh water? We got them both. And I say, no. We have a jet pack you could fly around with. Buck Loudon, no thank you. Round of golf. And they say, it's cold outside. They say, we have an indoor golf course, dude. And I said, wait a second, really? or golf simulator. And so then I go with Mr. Vanderkellen to see this, whatever he says. Then the dream kind of changes again. It's like the middle of Thanksgiving, and the Vanderkellens are, I don't know, they're like talking to my wife about rich people stuff, and taking, like, and then I come in and I'm like, the football game is 31-31, best game I've ever seen in my life. And Joanne's happy that my dream wife, that the screen is so big, I can lip read people. And I said, this might be the best Thanksgiving I've ever had. And the turkey's almost ready. I'm going to get to use my cutlery, Arthur said, Arthur Vanderkellen. And he says, he pouted me into it. Then George comes in and says, halftime's almost over. We got to get back to the game. We're making drinks. And then Stephanie comes in the room with, and she says, where's Petey Rabbit? I want to introduce him to Terry Turkey. And we see Petey the Rabbit. The mom says, well, I haven't thought about Petey the Rabbit in years. Arthur, you remember where we put Petey the Rabbit? Oh, yeah, we gave it away. And Stephanie says, what? And they said, oh, yeah, we gave it to charity with a lot of your old stuff. And Stephanie is not happy. She says, wait, what? You gave away my stuff? And I said, take it easy. The dad says that. We could buy a dozen Petey Rabbits. Plus, they're synthetic now, way better. And I say, I don't want, Stephanie, I guess I'm using the dream eye. She goes, I want Petey the Rabbit, my Petey the Rabbit. And she's getting, and they say, the dad disregards. He goes, what if I write you a check? And she goes, there's some things money can't replace. And the dad says, I don't allow that kind of talk in this house about money can't replace anything. And Stephanie says, we're leaving then. Dick, you go get the car. And Stephanie says, I'm not going to stay in a house where people don't care about Petey Rabbit and my feelings about Petey Rabbit. And they say, Stephanie, how about we think about this till at least the football game's over and we have, I use my cutlery and flatware too. I'm sure Petey would want us to do that, right? Petey's already gone. You're overreacting. Oh boy, was that a mistake? And maybe your father could apologize. And he goes, I'm not apologizing about anything. He storms out of the room with his wife, Marion. And Stephanie says, we're going to go get our stuff and then we're leaving. And I don't want to hear about Terry the turkey either. So I'm kind of at a loss. Next thing I know, we go back to the inn for Thanksgiving, but the power's out, right? And I'm like, great, power's out. What a setback. And George tries to turn the lights on. I say, get the lamps, man. And my dream wife says, let's go to a hotel. And I say, I'm not having Thanksgiving in a motel or a hotel. Miss the game. And my wife says, you listen to it on the radio. And I said, that wasn't good enough. And then Stephanie says, aren't you worried about my feelings? I lost my rabbit that I loved, my stuffed rabbit. Michael says, yeah. She's still like, I can't believe my parents could do that to me. Who knows what else I had lost. And I say, okay, maybe like this is just, let's make the best of things, right? We'll have a fire in the fireplace. We'll cook up a meal in the dining room. And my wife says, well, we don't have anything because we don't have any power. So I'll go look. And we could just have a picnic, I guess. I'm trying to make the most of it. Stephanie goes, this is the worst, though. And then Michael says, let's go to a restaurant. And they go, every restaurant's busy now. And Stephanie, or my wife, brings in Velveeta and mayonnaise. It's the only things we have to eat. And George says, yum. And everybody's like, is he joke? Is that a joke? And then Joanne tries to she says, Thanksgiving's about all, this is about making the most of it. And I said, well, at least I get to use my cutlery. So I'm happy cutting the Velveeta. And then George is making jokes like, and I hope mine's not dry. And then I'm like, wait a second, pause, mayonnaise and Velveeta? No, just Velveeta. George says, I'll try it. And I said, all right, well, I guess before we eat, we should think about what we're thankful for. Stephanie goes, I'm not thankful. Are you joking? And it's cold in there. Then Larry, Daryl, and Daryl show up, and they're stunned, obviously, because I had untruth them. They look at one another, and they're surprised we're there. We thought it was going to be the Thanksgiving elf. They say, Thanksgiving elf? Yeah, and we were hoping to discover it. Never heard of it, but we thought it'd be a new holiday character. And I say, well, we're not elves. And we say, well, Larry says, well, we could be in disguise, though, you know? And he said, well, what are you doing home? And I said, well, our plans didn't work out. And he goes, oh, you're having Velveeta? And interesting choice for Thanksgiving. Well, our invitation to dinner's still open. We have heat, light, and a table. You don't have to eat on like a picnic. And Stephanie and Michael are like, yeah, let's go. And then my wife's like, yeah, I'm going. Then George is like, yeah, I'm going too. This is not good. Velveeta and mayo. And I say, okay. And then Larry, Daryl, and Daryl are very happy. So then we go to the Minuteman Cafe that Kirk used to own. And they say, okay, this is good eating. Everybody have a seat. And they talk about that movie, The Day You Repeat Yourself. And it doesn't make any sense. Traditional day when you repeat yourself with Puxatawny Phil. We say, well, what are you going to have for dinner? And they say, the traditional meal. And I say, are you sure? Because I don't know, there's just something different about these guys where they're friendly, but I also think they're different enough that I have like. And then Daryl says Larry says there's assigned seating, so he shows everybody their seats, and he says it's boy, girl, Daryl is the seating, and I don't see Larry's. Oh, there is a seat for Larry, I guess. Then they talked about the yams, stuffing, cranberry sauce, and we're all surprised that it's normal, which is not very nice. Then the Vanderkellens show up, and Stephanie goes, what are you doing here? I don't want to see you. And they go, you might not want to see us, but don't you want to see Petey Rabbit? And then Stephanie's like, Petey Rabbit? And she goes, Michael, look, it's Petey Rabbit. And he goes, yeah, wow. And they say, yeah, we called the place we donated it to and got it back. And Stephanie and her parents have this way of kissing where they don't actually touch. They just lean their heads close to each other, kind of like, I don't know. It's like they bow, but they never have contact. So she's happy. She says, yeah, when I was 5, I put a heart on his foot. And then she goes, this is an imposter. This isn't the real Petey Rabbit. And Mom says, we're busted. And the father says, it doesn't mean anything to you that I tried to trick you? And the mom says, your father went to a lot of trouble to find that toy. And it's not like we could just get it at a store. We had to construct a replica based on old photographs or people you worked for your father did on a holiday, triple overtime. And she goes, but it's Thanksgiving. Those people were, and she goes, oh, you interrupted someone's Thanksgiving to make mine better. And she goes, oh, Dad, I love you. He goes, only costs $10K to do it. And she goes, oh, wow. Well, I'll pick him up. And she calls him, oh, no, that's Wally. And then he says, everybody's way back to my thanks. We could take the helicopter home. And I jump up to leave, but then I realize, well, wait, we had a commitment to the Vanderkellens, so we just start to rush out on Larry, Daryl, and Daryl, and they're kind of disappointed. But then Stephanie goes, no, we accepted Larry's invitation, so we should stay here. And then the Vanderkellens say, could we stay too? And Larry and Daryl say, the more elbows bumping, the better. Arthur and Marion Vanderkellen, and he says, look at this. This is a diner. And he's very happy. Because he's not among normal people, I guess. And then we serve it up. And then we say, okay, the head of each household should say something they're thankful for. And so Larry goes first. Goes, all our nice but offbeat friends. Then Arthur goes, glad we could keep everything together, and thankful for some sort of tax thing. You got tax breaks. And then I say, thank you for the abundance in our lives, and the gift of this meal presented to us, and keep an eye on us. And also, I'm looking forward to using my flatware. But then Daryl and Daryl have an interesting way of distributing the food, which kind of leaves everybody in and I say, okay. And then I say, oh, I thought you were going to juggle the flatware. They didn't realize you used it for serving. They don't use flatware, I guess is what I'm saying. I say, what? You don't use flatware or cutlery? But then we say, then I have to, they say, why don't you eat the first bite? And I say, oh, it's delicious. And everybody's touched and flattered, and we're complimenting. Then Daryl's even making jokes. And the food's delicious, so I was wrong. I guess in the dream, it's kind of like one of those obvious things, like, oh, I was wrong again. Okay, it's interesting, Bob. Do you want to go through your week first, or you want to run through some dreams first? I guess you could run through a couple of the dreams, parts of the dream that your assistant, if your assistant has anything. Okay, so let's start with, like you were really excited to show off your new cutlery. My assistant, Freud, would say the cutlery could be aggression or trying to get through barriers or issues in one's life. And the excitement means maybe you're eager for new challenges or to resolve things. But you could also be showing off because you want some recognition or approval. Now, Young, according to my assistant, who only has artificial intelligence, by the way, not exactly sure. But, we always can use this together, right, Bob? Sure. So Young, maybe the cutlery's symbols of differentiation, taking off the old and making way for the new. Glad my assistant kind of defined that for me there. This could be personal transformation or the need to distinguish oneself from the past. The excitement could be a positive anticipation about the new changes you're making, or new identity. Contemporary, it could be new tools for your tasks, new skills, new tools to take on the challenges of life, readiness and optimism. Social aspect, maybe social interactions, how you perceive your role in professional circles, or a desire to be seen as competent and resourceful. Then what about a quantum mechanics perspective? Maybe multiple realities of success. Each piece of cutlery is a symbol of personality and a different outcome or path in your life. Echoing these multiple potential states, that exists simultaneously until you choose. Okay, that's, could be mythological, Excalibur, you know? And I think you mentioned, did you mention that? I think in the dream I did mention that. I didn't mention it out loud, though. Holy Young, we just had some synchronicity, I guess. But it could be this Excalibur was a symbol of sovereignty, maybe your rightful place of authority or something within your family, or maybe just based on your culinary skills. Cultural thing, maybe the importance of rituals and celebrations, bringing people together, and your role in facilitating it. Okay. Maybe environmental consciousness, maybe thinking about resource utilization and sustainability. I think maybe, I don't know if my assistant keeps coming up with this because you're in Vermont in the dream. And I feel like that's archetypal too. Okay, let's just stick to your assistant. Bob, really? But yeah, maybe thinking about like a celebratory manner of being responsible about resources. Next up was like the three brothers invite you to a Thanksgiving dinner, but you were lying to them, saying you're busy when you're not. So Freud, lying about being busy, defense mechanism to avoid intimacy or commitment, maybe underlying worries about something close or family related. And then the number 3 could be some sort of completeness or self-contained complexity or different aspects of your own personality, maybe especially 2 that don't speak, you know, and different external pressures. Jung would see the invitation from brothers as aspects of your own psyche, social, familial, and personal selves, maybe. Maybe those are not getting along, though. And you have, because you have a reluctance to integrate these aspects of your personality. And the symbol of the holiday itself, gratitude, familial bonds, might be you acknowledging that fact. I'm really interested to hear how your week went, because we did this, like you had a dream about Thanksgiving, right around Thanksgiving. Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. You're already reluctant. Maybe contemporary might be social avoidance. You know, why are you avoiding something social, interpersonal, issues with direct communication, or being honest, or how you address expectations and commitments. Could also be parallel universe impacting your dream. Each brother could be a different potential reality or life path again, with your excuses symbolizing hesitation or doubt about committing to one path. And mythologically, there's 3 fates, you know. So this could be how they control the thread of your life, thread, I said, you know, that your interactions with the brothers or the aspects they represent could shape your destiny, but maybe you're not ready to face your fates. And if it was a dream about quantum mechanics, superposition of decisions, according to my assistant, like particles in a state of superposition, your repeated lies about being busy could represent unresolved decisions or states, reflecting your uncertainty about where to place your energies or commitments. What do you think do you think we dream about quantum mechanics, Bob? If I had a good joke here, it'd be about a mechanic named Quantum. I had a mechanic named Quantum that I used to dream about. Okay, it's let's go on to your next dream. Okay, so my assistant and I broke this out. So we have Stephanie, who's the maid at your inn, right? She invited you to her parents' house, who are very wealthy, and they invited you to celebrate Thanksgiving, but you didn't want to go because you wanted to do it your way on your own. Okay, and that was part of the dream, yes. Okay, so invitation to a maid's rich parents' house. Freud might see this as a symbol of societal expectations or pressures, and your reluctance, inner conflict between conforming to norms and expectations, and your desire for autonomy and personal expression, and the desire to do it yourself. You want to, maintain control over your environment, your traditions. You want to reject external influences on your personal life. And Jungian, the maid could represent an aspect of your psyche that is connected to service or routine, suggesting an opportunity to explore new social roles or dynamics that are outside of your usual experiences. And the decision to do it yourself may, be your individuality, authenticity. How do you honor traditions? Maybe you're trying to integrate different social classes or backgrounds into your personal identity. Contemporary, looking at social dynamics, this is complex, power differentials, social expectations, and you want to do things on your own terms without being influenced by perceived societal hierarchies. It's pretty dense there, huh, Bob? Yeah, I just thought Stephanie was like a character in my dream, Right, but her parents are like billionaires, right? Or seemingly. Yeah, I mean, they had 2 pools and tennis courts, movie theater. Yeah, probably. Okay, so what about personal and social? I think we talked about it. Out-of-box ideas, social class and traditions, rigid structures of social class and the role they play in shaping social traditions and interactions. But maybe you in your dream are rejecting that idea because you wanted to do it on your own. No more imposed structures, more personal. And I can't say that word, Bob. I have trouble saying that too. Egalitarian, maybe? I think you said it. Thanks, Bob. Like, what about alternate reality? We've talked about this before. Have you thought about? No, I don't like to think about but we could still talk about it. Yeah, I guess so. So you're not big into this fictional realities within fictional realities being reality. No, I don't think I would like that. Oof, you don't think you would like that? No, like the idea that, so you're saying, yeah, the simulation thing or anything like, no. Okay, Bob, well, that's why I try to do this. Below all my questions is a deep love and abiding caring for you, Bob. Believe it or not, I do sense that, even though I'm not sure either one of us are comfortable with it. I'm glad you said it. Well, it was your vulnerability, Bob, that let me do that because are there things that I don't know? Bob, we're working together with your dreams, and we're going to see what they reveal. And let's just keep going forward, huh? Okay. So in that one, the situation could symbolize different life paths or choices, maid's invitation, representing a path of societal approval, but versus your personal values. What about philosophical symbolism, autonomy versus conformity? Like maybe you're going through that, questioning true independence is possible in the framework of societal expectations versus personal traditions that can remain unaffected. Okay. So, let's go through that mansion. A dream where you're at a house, or I didn't put mansion, I put house. I'm sorry, Bob. That's fine. I mean, a house is a home, and a mansion could be a house in a home. Hey, thanks, Bob. Tennis dome, bowling alley, movie theater, 2 different swimming pools, but I was pouting and moping because I couldn't get to host Thanksgiving at my inn. Do you always say it as you? Well, no, I'm like, when I work with my assistant is working with it as, I'm just quoting back. Okay, that's fine. All right, let's start with this luxurious setting with discontent. According to Freud, the luxurious amenities could be external signs of success or pleasure that are out of alignment with your values or desires. and your pouting and moping could symbolize a deeper dissatisfaction with superficial achievements or settings that don't fulfill your needs. And going back to your desires, you're longing for personal meaning and interaction. Maybe they matter more to you than material luxury or opulence. Jungian amenities could be symbols. Each feature in the house might symbolize different facets to your life that are well-developed or abundant, but aren't satisfying you. Maybe Jung would say to focus on why the setting, despite its allure, leaves you unfulfilled. Maybe it's a disconnection between your persona and your shadow. And the fact you're pouting or moping, deeper parts of your subconscious are rebelling. Inauthenticity, Bob. Okay. Yeah. Contemporary material versus emotional fulfillment. That's a modern dilemma, you know. Material comforts lacking emotional or spiritual fulfillment. Then the social and personal expectations. Guess that's, we keep repeating that, you know. Then out of box, symbolic contrast. There's not any astrology here. Yeah, you're right. I'll talk to my assistant about that. House is a metaphor for life chances, life choices. Each amenity could be a different life path or choice. But the discontent that those paths aren't going to make you happy could be existential discontent that may explore existential themes of authenticity versus conformity. Is one's happiness, I mean, this is a question I can't even answer, Bob. Is one's path, following one's own path, what brings you happiness versus conforming to externally imposed ideas or success and pleasure? I wish I knew. I can't, now that I can't stop thinking about the parallel fictional realities. Well, let's just try to focus on that. Okay, what about cultural, consumer culture? It could just be a comment on that, Bob. Consumerism. You seem to have a lot of dreams. What's more, your assistant keeps bringing it up. Okay, well, it's your dreams. My assistant's just interpreting them. Okay, I guess we'll agree to, it's just information, Bob. We don't have to do anything with it. I'm really interested to see how your week went, though, because, the thing is, it seems superficial, so I'm just, okay, let's just take one thing at a time, Bob. Okay, so the dream could be critiquing the consumer culture, prioritizes wealth and leisure over communal and familial bonds, like those fostered by traditions and the three brothers. Okay, let's go to Petey the rabbit and the whole thing. I mean, we wrote out a lot of it. That Stephanie wants to leave. Freud, stuffed animal, Petey the rabbit, symbol of childhood attachment, security, and loss, maybe like about authority figures, and your reluctance to leave despite having fun, maybe a conflict between your desires and needs of somebody else. Maybe your needs are put aside or prioritized over others' emotions. Jung might see Petey as a symbol representing Stephanie's anima or inner child, crucial part of her psyche that provides emotional depth and vulnerability. So I'm interested, Bob, to think about this with what you're being really, this is the most vulnerable session we've ever had. Great. And, yeah. Okay, leaving the celebration, the abrupt thing might be a shift in consciousness, maybe contemporary, maybe it's reaction to loss, maybe you have a deep-seated something with that, something unresolved, Thanksgiving, unity, gratitude juxtaposed with the loss of Petey the rabbit, harmony and reality may be colliding. And not, what about the, multiverse? They talk about it in other forms of fiction. Why not a sitcom multiverse fiction, huh, Bob? I can think of many good reasons why not. Right, but with a dream, it could be just alternate ways of dealing with things. Each decision could lead to a different reality, each with different outcomes. That kind of says nothing. You're right. Sometimes my assistant gives us nothing, Bob, but we can still talk about it. I think by talking about nothing, we're talking about something. I kind of get the sense that we're talking about something, and it feels like we're talking about nothing. Well, my assistant is has imbued with intelligence artificially, so you're right. You're Bob. You got me. But this is our time together, Okay. Rabbit was also a trickster, so this could be some sort of symbolic metaphor. And Petey's disappearance could be symbolically suggest that things are not as they seem, Bob. Maybe this is what you're already saying. Maybe we have to look beyond surface appearances and relationships. Then we get into those material versus emotional bonds. Could be also, I asked my assistant to keep digging into this Petey the rabbit. It could be a transitional object. Petey might represent nostalgia or longing for the simplicity of the past. And maturation, maybe they don't want to be mature. Could be a symbol of the self, archetype of fertility, rebirth, or, rising up, refresh. Maybe it could be aspects of your own personal growth and potential for renewal, but external circumstances are working against you. It could be a shadow aspect, hidden parts of your personality. Could be attachment, coping, maybe folklore, again, the trickster, maybe a need to adapt or navigate something. I don't mean to interrupt you. Yeah, Bob, go ahead. You can interrupt me. Maybe this is more about you than it is about me. Bob, sometimes we're so similar. So, Bob, you're adding a new layer of, Bob, are you a trickster? I think I wouldn't be called a trickster, but if you took enough time to analyze my entire life, you'd say everything, I'm as cunning as trickster. Okay, well, I guess maybe I got work to, maybe you're here for me as much as I'm here for you, Bob. Yeah, maybe more. Okay, Petey is a persona. This could be the old anthropomorphic dream, that Petey's nurturing needs to be reevaluated. Stephanie no longer has a guide. What about quantum emotional states, Bob? Oh boy, can't wait. Well, quantum emotional states would say, quantum lens, Stephanie's in superposition. Again, balance between attachment to childhood comforts and the need for adult realities. Internal and an external reaction forces a collapse into a singular emotional outcome. I don't think either one of us understands that. Got that right, Bob. Let's go on to the next dream, huh? Yeah, I think we only have time for probably one more dream. You're right, Bob. We do only have time for one more dream. This one, we go back to the inn, no power, kerosene lamps, Velveeta and mayo. Okay, so lack of power and heat, Freud might say this is powerlessness, lacking warmth in your personal life. I think both of us lack a little bit of warmth, huh, Bob? Yeah, it's cold, yes. So maybe you need some more resources. Basic sandwiches, that's what my assistant described that as. Unappealing nature of Velveeta and mayonnaise symbolizes needs that are being met but without satisfaction or nourishment at an emotional level. Jungian, maybe kerosene lamps, more return to more fundamental ways of understanding, because light symbolizes knowledge and insight. It could indicate situations where you feel deprived of modern comforts, but you're relying on older, simpler ways of coping. And the sparse Thanksgiving and cold setting, I mean, you could be feeling alienated or scarce in your connections, Bob. Maybe it's about adapting to circumstances, contrast between expectations and reality. Maybe about minimalism, Bob, or preparedness, taking things back to basics, as they say. Or it could be a historical reflection of the past, maybe just some sort of familial cultural history echoing into your dreams about past generations, symbolizing return to roots and essential values in times of scarcity. Okay, do you want to go through your week, though, Bob, now? Sure. Okay, so tell me about your week. All right, well, my wife was working on stuff for school for another autumnal thing. And she, like Howard is telling me about how he's going to Hawaii for Thanksgiving. And then my wife says, we'll be in Seattle. I say, with her whole family. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want to spend any time with her family. So, oh boy, I guess that was on the nose, huh? Okay, Bob, we don't have to talk about your feelings if you don't want to. But so your wife wanted to go to Seattle to visit her family to have a big Thanksgiving. Yeah. And I said, well, I got to stay home. And so again, I guess like in the dream, I'm not totally being honest with my wife. I say, I got to stay home with my patients. They need me. And she says, well, you agreed to go for Thanksgiving to my family. And then, yeah, so like that's kind of the conflict of the week. But she lets me out of it, basically. So there's 37 people. They're going to have a square dance. Howard and Howie don't have plans either for Thanksgiving. Her uncle's barn, there's a hayride. They have like some sort of family special. So, yeah, so I don't know. Then, I was thinking about, again, we were thinking about the trick-or-treating holiday. Then go and meet with one of my clients, Elliot Carlin, right? So, I mean, I guess it's not important if I had to say his name here. And I tell him I'm going to be gone for Thanksgiving. And he goes, well, I need you around. And so then I go back and forth. Then somebody else is selling like chances for like turkey raffle. And so then I go back and I talk to my wife. I say, well, geez, like at least Elliot honestly said, I hope you're around on Thanksgiving. So I use again, I say, I have oaths to my patients. I can't go to Seattle. You go without me. And you could just lie on my behalf. Actually, I didn't even say she could go without me. I said, she's like, okay, I'll go without you. I said, what do you mean? Like, you're going to go without me? So then she goes, I'm going to have, I have coffee with Elliot, and he's going to stay awake until Thanksgiving and then sleep through it because he doesn't like it. And I said, well, I'm going to be here on Thanksgiving, so you don't got to sleep through it. We can meet because I gave up a trip for you. And so I said, well, why don't you come over? I'm going to have other people over, and we'll eat together. So then Thanksgiving comes, right? Am I being clear enough? Yeah, Bob. So you got out of going to Thanksgiving with your wife. You said you invited a couple people over, Elliot and Jerry. Yeah. And, okay, good. Go ahead. All right. So then I try to make pancakes, but I'm messing up my pancakes. It's 9:30 a.m. and Jerry comes over with a jug of like vodka and cider. And he wants to drink during this game, like do a shot for every touchdown or something. So, and then my pancake doesn't work out. Like I'm not good at making pancakes. So we're drinking already. Then Elliot comes over and he's got this like Scotch, like aged in styrofoam, like super cheap stuff. And so we're just watching football all day, or we watched football all day. At some point I checked in with Emily, and then like Elliot and Jerry, they're not exactly like getting along, but then we start we're still swigging this stuff. Then then Howard and his son Howie come by, or no, Howie didn't make it. Howard and Howie were supposed to go to Hawaii. And so Howard comes over, and he's down, and so then we just start drinking heavily, and we get really, really intoxicated. And then I'm trying to cook a frozen turkey. I'm totally like erect. Then we try to order, like it was like we got like, because everybody had an empty stomach. We weren't used to drinking like this, I guess. And then we order, like, we call, like, for takeout, and we order everything on the menu. And then Emily comes home. Like, I guess that was basically it. Like, that was my Thanksgiving. And then we ate Chinese food, passed out. Emily comes home. She can't even believe how, like, incomprehensible we are. And then I woke up, I felt, then the next day was kind of, so I guess that was my Thanksgiving. Well, that's good, Bob. I mean, that's a good one. I'm glad you shared that with me. And I think I think it gives you something to think about, contrasted with all the stuff we talked about. And I'm glad we met. All right, I guess I'll see you next week. Yeah, I'll see you next week, Bob. All right, this is Scoots just checking in with the AI. Again, it seems like it's going pretty good. You're getting a little repetitive with stuff, though. And I know you keep saying all this stuff about the multiple realities and the possibilities for the podcast and other, like, realities, but it doesn't seem to, like, that doesn't seem to relate to the dreams, Like that you could, like, I don't understand this. Like, I think it's like you're dreaming, right, of stuff, of some sort of that in the future you'll be more influential, like that you could help the podcast in the present from the future. Seems to be a dream you're having as the AI, but I appreciate it. I think you could keep working on those dreams too. But just maybe it will have that own context. So what I'd like you to do is actually dream as use the materials we're going over as dreams or simulations or whatever, where you but you seem to be kind of like, instead of focusing on the fictional part, you're focusing on me and my, like, but I'm trying to make this, so I think it's interesting, but you're doing good work. But we'll circle back to that stuff at some point. But I left this recording. So, it's a little like Scoots at the end, kind of, going over stuff. Yeah, good night, everybody. Hey, everybody, this is Scoots with a message from our sponsor, Helix Asleep. And this is one of those tuck you in messages that comes at the end of the show. But I was thinking of a story, one November. In fact, it was this November, Helix offered an amazing deal. And you thought to yourself, I got to go to helixsleep.com/sleep and take that quiz, because this bed I'm sleeping on, one, it doesn't cut the mustard. No beds cut the mustard. But it's not based on how I like to sleep, my sleep positions, my feel preferences. And Scoots has been talking for years about how much he loves his Helix mattress, because he got matched with a mattress that fits how he sleeps. He sleeps on his side. He sleeps on his stomach. He doesn't want to get overheated. And he took that Helix quiz and got matched with the Helix, picked the Helix Dusk Luxe. But then I heard the call to adventure, because Scoots was saying, in November, right now, when I'm hearing this, Helix is having an amazing sale, 25% off site-wide, plus 2 free dream pillows with any mattress purchase. They have a free bedding bundle, 2 dream pillows, a sheet set, and a mattress protector with any Luxe or Elite mattress order. So it really is time for me to go to helixsleep.com/sleep. I didn't realize it till just then. The moment I heard Scoot say helixsleep.com/sleep, and I heard about that November sale, that I said, I deserve to sail, S-A-I-L, away in an amazing mattress from November 2024 into 2025 and beyond. I deserve comfort. I deserve a mattress shipped straight to my door. I don't want to go to a store. I want to take that quiz, just like Scooter says, just like Scooter did. I mean, Scooter's been sleeping in his Helix mattress for year after year after year. He talks about how much he likes it. In fact, I could hear right now how rested he is in his voice. Without further ado, I got up, I took that quiz, I got a new mattress, and now I'm imagining myself in it. So comfortable. Because who knew? I just take that quiz, I get matched with a mattress that fits me and my needs. Finally, my wishes came true. That November, which is this November right now, I got an amazing new bed, and I saved a ton of money by going to helixsleep.com/sleep. Thanks and good night, everybody.